The next step after they're glued together is to spackle them. So you can see the seam here. We're trying to hide it as much as possible. Spackle, you know, when it dries, it kind of recedes. So it'll recede into the seam if we don't put a whole lot of it on. And then once the spackle is dry, we sand it down. This one you can also tell has started its travel through paint treatment. This one has as well. So this one here has just come out of the mold. It's gleaming white. This one is a little more ivory. It's hard to tell with the lighting in here. It's just sort of fluorescent. I guess you can sort of see it here. This has begun its travel through paint. And so have all of these. So when the spackle is dry, we sand it down so that you can't see the seam anymore. We put that on obviously after the inside has been painted. It's hard really to see. You can see a little bit of the paint right there on the inside of the thing. So once this is all sanded down and smooth, first we glue the two of these together with Gorilla Glue so that it's very solid, the top and the bottom. And then the spackle, we sand it down, it's smooth. And then it moves on to this stage of the paint job here. And this is done, I think, with different spray paints. So we first start with a coat of an ivory spray paint, and then this is added on a little bit later. You can see also the edges have been smoothed out to a great deal, where the mold edges, the factory edges of the thing. Any holes have been plugged up in the back with the spackle and the glue. And then it moves on from this stage of the paint job to the final paint job over here. We have them lined up so that they're just ready to be taken. Like, they need 3 skulls per show, so this whole row will go in for one show. But you can see on the final paint job, which really makes the entire thing. It's just pretty spectacular. They look amazing from stage, and they do exactly what they're supposed to do. The way they break, you know, the reason that we add the white glue to the plaster mix is to act as a hardener, so that when they're broken on stage, they don't break just as plaster. They break with some more rigidity, like a bone probably would. So you can see, I mean, if you get really, really, really close up on these things, you'll be able to see a little bit where the spackle is, and you'll be able to see that the suture marks don't follow all the way through because of the spackle there. But aside from that, I think these are pretty great. They're kind of Hollywood quality, and sort of telling people that you know, these are the kinds of bones that you would expect to see in something like the Temple of Doom. You know, this might not be something that Laurence Olivier is holding right up next to his face in an extreme close-up, but this is something that'll look great from like a medium shot or something, or, you know, some kind of quick pan to Harrison Ford's foot stomping on it as he leaves the Temple of Doom or whatever. Yeah, and they've got well, these got hair. The reason this has hair, this is the first one that ate after midnight. So he's kind of a troublemaker. We keep getting him wet and feeding him after midnight. That's why there's so many of them. It's getting to be a huge problem. Just keep multiplying and causing havoc. Yeah, so let's go over here now. And we'll see all of the other molds that are in, or all of the other bones that have been molded already. These are the vertebrae after their paint job. The vertebrae are kind of great. They come out of the mold pretty perfectly. They don't really need any sanding or anything. They just go straight into the paint. These are a row of tailbones here. The tailbones, they kind of crack when they come out of the mold, so I have to glue. This piece always breaks off, so I have to glue this tiny piece back on. You know, and I'm not really terribly concerned about them breaking when they come out of the mold, because they're made to be broken. you know, it's plaster. Plaster's fairly fragile when it's cured, especially these. The shoulder blades here are very, very thin, so every one of these breaks when it comes out of the mold. But I just glue it back together and then it's fine. You know, and you can also see, like, on the shoulder blades and in some of the others, you can see like some of the dowel marks and stuff are still on there. But for theater, where the audience is like, whatever, 15 feet away at the closest they are to these things, nobody's ever going to notice that. So these look exceptionally good for theater. If these were being made for a film project, I might have taken a longer time to make the molds. I might have taken a longer time in, you know, this sort of post process where they come out of the mold and like sanding everything down and making sure they looked exactly anatomically correct. But for theater, for this project, they do exceptionally well. These are some of the other bones here after they've come out and been painted. Here are some of the ribs there, some of the jaws next to them. Those tailbones, they get glued onto the hip, or some of them do at least. So it sort of forms like half of a pelvis here. So that's what these are. Pretty much everything in the show is held together by Gorilla Glue and hope. So that's that. This is the femur. These are the femurs up here. Two of them have nothing on them, but the third one also gets glued to a hip bone, so we get sort of a pelvis kind of thing going on. That's all of the stuff here. They get 3 of these, so everything in this box goes out for the show. 1 of these, 1 of those, 5 ribs, 3 jaws, 1 of each of these. No, I'm sorry, 3 of each of these? I think 3 of each of these. 3 vertebrae and 1 of those, and 3 skulls for every show, and then they all get smashed apart. So after this process is over, I will have made over 1,000 bones. And again, each one takes about 3 hours to do. So it's pretty crazy. This room, let me get my power source figured out here so I'm not tripping all over everything. This room is where we do all of the sanding. So the things come over here first and they get dremeled down. You can see sometimes they break a lot, and then they have to be glued back together. Again, you know, there's really no getting around it. It's plaster. It's a very kind of fragile thing. So they get dremeled and sanded and stuff in here, and then they get painted. And this is Amy, and Amy is painting, what is that? Shoulder blade?
Yep.
So she's over there painting the shoulder blade right now. Some skulls up here are in process as well. So every single one of these is hand painted, a perfect little work of art, put together with love and attention to detail for the sole purpose of being broken apart. Doesn't make any sense at all. It's completely absurd. Yeah, so that's sort of the process, I guess. So now I'm going to stick this on a tripod, and then I'll demold the skull, and you can see what that looks like.